January 6th monthly meeting of the Lehigh Valley Tea Party. My name is Tom Carroll, and I, along with our board, welcome you here tonight. Brave soldiers that you are, to come out in the middle of the Omicron crisis that we're all facing. And I want to give a special welcome to any FBI agents that might be here tonight to report on us. Welcome, thank you for being here. All right, so the first thing I'd like you to do is, I can have your attention. Thank you. The last few weeks have been a little bit rough on our membership, various reasons, but Sandy Slater, who was a longtime friend of ours from Quakertown, passed away in December. John Thomas, his mother, I don't know, is Barbara here tonight? He died in December, and the story that relates to this passing is the killing of him by our medical community with COVID. And she's going to be here next month and tell you the story about how they killed her son. And Paul Bryan died on Christmas Day. So we just wanted to ask everyone to keep them all, them and their families, in your prayers. All right, and if you could please join us in prayer right now. Father, you go before us. You are the God of our past and our present. By your hand, we were all created for unique purpose to be realized in the days of our lives on this earth. Though we have no way of knowing what is coming our way, we are guaranteed that life this side of heaven will be difficult. We know we have an enemy set to destroy us. Give us the boldness we need to operate with the power of your Holy Spirit to discern the lies of the enemy and recall and remember the truth in your word. Jesus, you are the story of our salvation, there in the beginning with the Father, and now seated at his right hand. You pray for us, and you never leave us. Jesus, empower us by your grace to love the people in our lives well, even though the ways of the world are pushing us against us. Our mistakes are rampant. We're not getting it all right all the time. We're succumbing to pride and discord when you set an example and commanded us to love above all else. So we ask the Holy Spirit to stir conviction in our souls like never before. Give us lessons in humility, coach us in encouragement, and mentor us in peaceably and gracefully asserting our faith into the brokenness of this world. Infuse a durability in us that is unworldly. Bless our lives to persevere and run the race marked out for us with full steam to the very end, until the tape breaks and we're called home in Jesus' name. Amen. I would ask you to stay standing and we can recite a pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And remain standing for the national anthem. By the dawn's early light, what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleam, and bright stars through the perilous fight. For the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare from the came through the night, that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled the microphone when we have these meetings, and I know every month the board looks at me and says, why did you go to this chair? And I said, you made mistakes, and now I got the mic. A lot of things we need to talk about tonight. And I can tell you that we are on the path of righteousness, and God bless you for coming out tonight. And I just want to go over a few things, and we're going to talk a little bit about what's on the agenda tonight and the wonderful candidates that we're going to have here, people running for governor and lieutenant governor. We're going to hear from them, and we're going to hear from our very good friend Charlie Strange, and the story that compels us to support him and his family for what his son did for our nation. God bless you guys. Darrell Brooks, I don't know if he's here yet, but Darrell Brooks is also going to be here speaking. He was a poll watcher at the 2020 election at the Philadelphia Convention Center. So that whole story that we've been talking about for months, about how there was election fraud, and you saw what we talked about a couple months ago, and how there's now a case in Delaware County that is a whistleblower case where we have all that evidence. We showed you some of those video clips, and he's going to add to that story about the depth of depravity that is the Democrat Party and the machine that got Biden illegally and wrongfully elected. We cannot stand quiet and let them threaten us that we're going to arrest you because you're talking about insurrection or you're talking about something. We're going to silence you, cancel you. They will not, they cannot. We must stand firm. We must stand firm and continue to stand up. We need all of you to go forward into this year, showing up. Do we have a problem at the door? Okay. There's an election cycle. We need to do a lot of the stuff that we've talked about for so long. And I guess he finally got moved the forward there for that, and I apologize. Hey, thank you. All right, Andrew, sit down and stop. Okay. So, yeah, let me give birth to that since you're flipping the slides before I'm ready. Thank you. Melissa's sitting in the back there, and we have been working on supporting each other, standing up here and talking about the idea that we need to stand up with each other, help each other's businesses, go to the doctors, the medical freedom committee that are standing up for us, the frontline doctors that will stand up, and we need to figure out who they are, work together, send our business to these people, and we're working on that in that directory. So she has some sign-up sheets back there. We're going to continue to build that process. And I want to thank you for that. Patriot-minded businesses in and around the Lehigh Valley. We want to build a list reasonable number. We're providing to our members in a directory format. If you know a patriot-minded business that would like to see Mel in the back where she sits with the Second Amendment. Hello? Okay. All right. So we always sell raffle tickets. We're not selling the gun raffle tickets tonight because we are selling that raffle ticket that many of you got in the mail. We will be drawing that at the February meeting. And we also have the name tags that normally we have for you. We will have them available in the at the February meeting as well. So we played a little bit of Andrew, you're not on the end going. I can tell you that the amount of work that everyone on this team has done. I want to also thank everybody, the volunteers, the board, all the people that have done all this work to get all these meetings together. So they lost time to our frontline ability. But I want to just give you a quick update. He was so grateful for all the efforts that we did and all the donations that we got to him. It was very helpful. Andrew and I got the opportunity to go over to New Jersey about a week and a half ago. We actually saw him, and he's getting around, and he's moving and progressing. And he's engaging and communicating with us, and he's doing much better, and he thanks everybody for all the efforts that you did for him. Thank you very much. Raise your hand if you're here for the first time. Welcome, and thank you for coming. We need to continue this organization, so thank you for coming. Come back, please. And we're going to need everyone to keep participating going forward with all the stuff that we're doing. And Andrew's been yelling at me now for a couple hours here. We have some that Republican action team over there, and I don't know where the slide is in that one, but I know we're going to do the 50-50 raffle at the end of the meeting. And Mo and Tom have been selling those tickets. You can buy more at the break, and then we'll draw it at the end of the meeting. And the legal defense group that's been here and spoke, you know, keep them in mind when you're thinking about this and your Second Amendment rights, and to make sure that you have that protection. And they're helping us out. When you buy a membership with them, we get some money back too. So it's a win-win situation in regard to that. This is what Andrew made sure he said. Make sure you tell everybody this. All right. The Republican Party in Pennsylvania and Northampton and Lehigh counties is corrupt as all hell. And we need to change that. Every single one of you here should be registered to vote, and you should show up at our seminar. We're going to teach you how to circulate a petition and get on the ballot and become committee people. We will take over these committees, and we will support candidates that believe in our values. We will no longer allow this Republican Party snubber to tell us what we're doing. Welcome to the spies in the room here from Lee. Thank you very much for being here tonight as well. All it takes is 10 signatures to get on the ballot, and we'll teach you how to do that at this seminar, so please consider coming to this and spreading the word and getting as many of your friends and neighbors to this so we can change the leadership in these committees. And at the same time, you'll all notice that you're hearing squawking about all 18,000 people running for governor and senator and everything else. And now we hear that certain state reps are going to run for Congress. They signed Act 77, and Act 77 was the law that destroyed our nation because we lost Pennsylvania because of Act 77, and they should be ashamed of themselves, but they have no shame, and they're running for re-election, and one of them, Ryan McKenzie, says he's going to run for Congress. He signed Act 77, and how dare he stand up and come to us and say, support me and run and elect me for Congress. Shame on him. All right, I guess I should move on. We're trying to get March for Life and the pro-life committee, and we have some people here today, and I think that this is the time when I'm going to invite her up to, where is she? Okay, come on up.
Thanks so much for having me tonight. I really appreciate it. My name is Michelle Ashley. I'm the State Director in Pennsylvania for Susan B. List, as you see here. And I'm joined by Marlene Downing here in the pink. Marlene, raise your hand. She's our Deputy State Director. And then Kim Kennedy, who's the Regional Field Director. They're both based out of kind of the greater Philly area. And we'll table there, so visit us afterwards. Basically, those of you who are familiar with Susan B. List, we are a national political pro-life organization. So we work on the political side of the life movement. To give you an idea of our scope, Marjorie Tannen Felsen here, our president, she headed up President Trump's pro-life coalition. And so in 2020, we spent $57 million on the national elections, and we're poised to spend even more in 2022 because, as you all know, we have to win the midterms, and they are winnable. So we're focusing on the U.S. Senate, key U.S. House races, and in Pennsylvania, also the governor's race. Because Pennsylvania is so key, and if you ask the national group at SBA, they'll say Pennsylvania is probably our most important state. So anyway, next slide. So what we do, to a little bit, we're the largest grassroots pro-life campaign in the history of the pro-life movement. We visited over 6 million voters with over 4,000 canvassers. And the way we work is we send paid canvassing teams to doors to speak to voters about the life issue. And the way we do it is we educate them on the life issue with a simple survey that informs them not just of legislation, but where their elected officials stand. Our goal in 2022 across the country is to reach 4 million doors, and we already have teams in the field right now. We're one of the few groups that canvass really for over a year before the election. And it's key because the life issue takes quite a bit of voter education, but also no one else is out, and voters have their political guards down at the moment, which is great, since no one else is out in 20-degree weather canvassing like we are. Why this is effective? The pro-life issue is unique. You all probably know that. It's a spiritual, moral issue. And what we see is we meet so many Christians and other people of faith who, if they're voting for Democrats, they're voting for them because they falsely believe they're the party of compassion. Well, many voters don't know the Democrats are so radical on the life issue. They will not vote on anything to limit abortion. If a child's born alive after abortion, they don't want to give medical care. They want abortion on demand up to birth for any reason whatsoever, elective abortion. And they want the taxpayers to pay for it. $500 million of our tax money goes to Planned Parenthood, and they funnel that back into the Democratic Party. It's so corrupt. So anyway, so that's why what we do at the doors is so key. Because when you get a Protestant or Catholic or anyone of faith, and you show them how radical they are in the life issue, it changes them. You can ask Kim and Marlene. I've been doing this for 6 years. I've met so many voters, and we can change our hearts and minds at the doors. We see SBA list. When we hit our goals, we can change the voter turnout 6 to 10 percentage points for this. So the pro-life issue is a really winning issue for our party. And like I said, the Democrats are so radical, and the media gives them cover. That's why what we do is so effective, because we're giving them information they don't have. The media, if you notice it, when they'll interview someone from the Democratic Party, like Hillary Clinton, they'll always go to the less than 1% of abortion. Reagan says like the mother. They won't talk about elective abortion up to birth. So that's where we come in, and that's why the information we're giving voters is so key. Next slide, please. These are our 2022 targeted states for SBA. As you see, Pennsylvania, we're in 6 states right now, and we'll expand to 8 or 9, again, focusing on the U.S. Senate races and key U.S. House races. And our goal, like I said, is winning the midterms, and they are winnable, but we need boots on the ground. Next slide. So how you can help, sign up to Canvas with us. Like I said, we pay canvassers $15 an hour, plus mileage reimbursement, and your paid or drive time. You set your own hours. You can work 3 hours a week. You can work 40 hours a week. We're hiring across the state of Pennsylvania, so pretty much where anyone lives, we have a job for them. So please help us get the word out. It's a lot of fun. We send groups out. It's a great time, and especially for young people. We're raising up a lot of activists in the younger generation because they're learning how to speak about this issue, and they're becoming more bold. So tell your friends, if you can post flyers at your church or school, help us connect with Homeschool and other groups. Like I said, we have all the information over here if you'd like to learn more about us. Kim Kennedy, Marlene Downing, our local representatives. Oh, and one other thing too before I go, we have an election transparency initiative as well. We're not really recruiting for that right now, but I know there's another group here that's working on that. And that's where we're working with Ken Cuccinelli from the Trump administration to make sure our elections are fair. So anyway, thank you so much for having us. We really appreciate it.
Okay, so I'm sure you've heard in the news about the United Airlines employees and what they've done. About early December, a couple of them contacted us and said their story, and they came back to our reorganization, our planning session in December, and we were so compelled to say we need to hear from you a little bit. And so I want to welcome Jody tonight to speak to you a couple minutes about what they're doing with them. And I'm just so glad you're here, so I thank you for coming.
Just trying to wire one or not?
Hello? Yep.
Trying to wireless.
Hi, everyone.
I'm keeping you, you're going to come back.
Okay, hi, everyone. Thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. I just met him tonight. John from LVTP tonight. We just met. I had no idea that I was going to know when I was here, standing up for 84HF. So I'm here, we're here representing 84HF, which stands for Airline Employees for Health Freedom. flight attendant with United Airlines for 26 years. He's a pilot for On August 6th, our CEO Dr. issued a vaccine mandate for all employees. Myself and over 2,000 other employees immediately filed religious or medical exemptions, and about a month later, most of them were approved. However, the reasonable accommodation that was offered to us at that point was indefinite unpaid leave until the pandemic meaningfully recedes. Those are my words. Meaningfully recedes at this point means the cases have to be 10,000 or less a day. Okay, so until the pandemic meaningfully recedes, and at that point, it's 10,000 cases a day for a week, and then we would be permitted to come back. 10,000 cases a day. What is it now? Right. So that was the one thing we were offered, along with also taking away our medical insurance. They took that away from us. We will lose. The flight attendants will lose flight benefits after 90 days. The pilots lost it immediately. Am I correct? Okay. We are unable to access our 401k. We have no access to it. We're unable to retire while being on this leave as well. So I have quite a few friends that had to retire under duress. It's not a job you typically want to leave until you're getting kicked out the door. So we stopped accruing seniority after about 6 months, and seniority is everything with this job. There's also a no-compete clause, which means that we are unable to go work for any other airline while we're on leave. So 26 and 30 plus years in the industry, and we can't work for another airline. So we are fighting this right now in the courts. Right now it's in the 5th Circuit District Court of Appeals as we're trying for a preliminary injunction, which would put us all back to work as our case proceeds through the court system. Our case is being watched throughout the country. I'm sure a lot of you have seen different things about it in the news, and Ted Cruz reaching out to or challenging her CEO. But it's in the news, not just, you're watching it not just because United is important, but also because of the healthcare workers and military and other industries and professions that are being affected. This case will set the precedent for religious and medical exemption acknowledgement. We're suing because what United is doing is a violation of Title VII of the Civil Rights Act and the ADA. So AE4HF is standing for religious freedoms and bodily autonomy. Tea Party Board so graciously allowed me to have a table set up in the back. I am selling t-shirts. These t-shirts are $20. We have them in women's and men's. And there are bracelets back there as well, $10 bracelets. And on the table there are a bunch of QR codes. So if you take that QR code and scan it, it will take you to AE4HF's website, and you can read more information about the lawsuit and just different articles about it. It also has contribution links to help fund our lawsuit. We are a 501c4, so any donations are not tax deductible, but we are completely self-funded. Lawyers are very expensive, and they're even more expensive when you're on an unpaid leave. So all of the employees are paying for these lawyer fees. Whether it's $5 or $10, anything that you can do to help fund the lawsuit is more than we had a minute ago. We're also 100% volunteer run, so every donation goes directly to our legal fees. Thanks so much for your time. If anyone has any questions, we're back there at the table. Come back and talk to me, my husband, John, and thank you again.
Very quickly what George already said. This isn't just us, it's going to set precedent. So we lose, it's going to set the precedent all across the country that an employer or an employee goes to the employer and says, I want a religious exemption. The employer goes, they can give it to the employee, depending on unpaid with the government, there's no benefits for any basically unemployment. So we have to win this. And especially in money, it's very important. We also need you to go to United Airlines, get them on Facebook, on Twitter, email them, call, just make comments in the news, and just say, it's unacceptable to you, and the next time that you have to travel, you can remember what United Airlines did to employees. Thank you.
When I mentioned earlier about the feedback is, about Barbara losing her son. She has come in, and I just wanted to say, Barbara, God bless you, and thank you for being here tonight. And we're going to hear from you next month, where you're going to tell us the whole story. But I just am heartbroken by what you went through, and the abuse that they did to you, it's unbelievable. And thank you for being here, and stay strong, and God bless you.
Just say that.
Maybe look at this little screen now. So if you don't have cash today, we have the LVTP chip, so you can use a credit card process things and spend your money tonight. We need you to do that, please. And of course, we actually said pre-order the books, but I think you have some here. Charlie, my friend Michael Strain Foundation, they have their books there, so the break over, buy their books, and he's going to talk to you a little bit later. So thank you for being here tonight as well. And we have these shirts for Let's Go Brandon, and we're selling them back over here with the merchandise table, so make sure you get those. Membership and treasurer report, total members 6,463. I can tell you, we did need to calculate our membership back in around 2013, 2014, when we first started doing this. We might have had maybe 400 or 500 members at that time, and this is amazing. You can see the bank budget and the availability, and thank you for all that you've done. We're translating this power of money and members into action, and that's why it's so important that we're here. And the call to action of every single person that comes to us is about standing up to the Marxist leftist crap that they're pushing down our throats. So thank you for this, and thank you for all being members. If you're not a member, please join. Val, you're here ready to support the troops.
Good evening, everyone, and happy, healthy 2022. Whenever we have a new year rolls around, a lot of us make resolutions. And by day 4, we broke a couple of them. But I would think of it as a new start. I'd like to think that we begin with hope. We hope we'll be happy. We hope we'll all be healthy. We'll hope that this year will, and you know, all fill in your own blank. But our 2000 wish for the Lehigh Valley Tea Party is endless. We wish that our candidates like Lisa Shella and like Kathy Burnett and the governors that are running really represent us and that they get elected. We hope that the Tea Party hopes that Kathy and Mary's, Charlie and Mary's story about their son gets told through their book. So we all have hopes. We hope that our children go back to school and that we all have a normal life again, whatever that might be. But our hope and support of the troops is that our packages reach our military and they make our difference. For those that you don't know us, we send free care packages to our military. We've been doing it for 13 years, and the hardest part of our job is getting names. You people support us. We're here every month. Some of us asked us tonight what we're looking for most. Well, usually the most important thing is that we never got too often is toothpaste, candy, suckers, and I have another thing, but I can't remember. But anyway, baby wipes.
Yeah.
They go in every one of our packages. I've got a great deal today on some of them. But postage in the back. Everybody here is selling something. You have to come here with money. I mean, not a lot, but something. We are blessed in America, but in the back, we have a young lady. You've heard us speak for the last few months. A young lady who, at her spare time during the summer, was making bravery beads for us and keychains. And I'd just like Juliana to stand and give her a round of applause. 100% of what she collects and makes goes to us for mailing packages. And she's been really, really diligent. And I commend her parents, Ellen and George, as well. So I thank you very much. And on that note, as always, here's the thank you, because we are making a difference. Dear Support the Troops, we thank you for the care package and the time spent getting it all together. Mail call is a great time to build camaraderie. You never know what memories will be brought back with the random items and the group of people. It uplifts our spirits and is greatly appreciated. Pass on my special thanks to all who have contributed, including the artwork. There was additional pictures without names, but I've added it to a wall with pictures of my children and grandchildren. I'll be turning soon, and it gives us his replacement, and it's Sergeant Major William Erickson of the U.S. Air Force. So I thank all of you. I God bless you, your family, and America.
I know we're running a little late tonight, but we put a lot of energy into a lot of things that we're trying to accomplish tonight, so I appreciate your patience with everything that we've done here tonight. But I also put to the end something that I want you to stay for, because we're going to hear in the end, when we said special news bulletin, we're going to hear about what they're doing to us here in the Lehigh Valley with these illegal immigrants. And so stay tuned for that story here. You've seen bits and pieces of it popping up, and we're going to hear about that at the very end, so I want you to stay for that. And right now we're going to hear from a couple of candidates, and this election is taking place in November, the primaries in May. We're going to have a candidate forum in mid-April at the South Mountain Grove, where we're going to bring the candidates for governor, lieutenant governor, and senate in a special event, not at our meeting here. And we're going to hear from them all. But what we've noticed is we've been hearing from a lot of them for many, many months from Senate and et cetera. So tonight we have a couple more candidates. I'm going to invite the first one to come up today.
This is a t-shirt I usually wear around town, in various places. I kind of wore it last night to the debate. I decided to look professional. But, I started a newsletter 2 years ago to help Trump. I put billboards around Westmoreland County, paid for them, never socialist. This newsletter, this name got me in all kinds of trouble with Facebook. They shadow banned my entire campaign, and I can't get my message out. So, how many watched the debate last night on PCN? You gotta watch it. You gotta watch it. It'll be in my next newsletter. If you don't get the newsletter, I signed up about 30 people. Bill McCain's has a sign-up sheet. It's on my Facebook page. You have to watch that. Because the reason I think it's important is you'll see there were 13 candidates. There are 2 other candidates that will be in there. But, one would have cracked 77, so I feel that he's disqualified with the other 2 senators. What you're going to see from the debate last night is basically 3 types of candidates that you're going to see. You have your elected officials who are trying to promote their career, and they're really not going to do anything. You got your Romney rhinos who want to negotiate center-left, but they never ever ask back for what we give up. That's not me. And then you have your patriot candidate. I was an original Tea Party patriot, signed up at Bush Run in Westmoreland County, I don't know, 13 years ago, 12 years ago. If you watch the debate, you'll see who the true patriot is. You'll see who's going to follow through on the things he says he's going to do. That's what's pretty evident. I don't want to disparage the other people that were there, but those are the three types of candidates you have, and I think you'll be able to pick that out. One of my disappointments, though, is that the Republican Party and the media, they seem to think, this was stuck in 1990, and they think that whoever raises the most money is going to be the next candidate, or the political insider, which are the ones that have already been elected, are going to be the next candidate. The media refuses to interview the other 8 candidates. I've contacted them, they sent me questionnaires, they will not cover me. I already mentioned Facebook has my entire campaign shadow banned, so I can't get my message out there. And of course, those senators think that they're next in line. And like I said, they voted for the single worst piece of legislation possible for a Republican. And how do I know that? Well, in November, 70% of the people that used mail-in ballots were Democrats. So who did they pass the legislation for? They didn't pass it for us. Yeah, well, the 10 people, the 21,000 that voted. But I've been saying, I got into a major fight with the party in Westmoreland County and the state reps. I took them on, when you do this letter to Tom, they attempted to kick me out of the Republican Party. I'm an elected committee member. You can't do that. They still took me off their email list. And I have not attended a meeting since March, so I assume in 2 months they'll say, you haven't been to a meeting, you're kicked out again. But it didn't stand up, they had to put me back in. What's interesting on here is their logic was, Act 77 allowed ballot Republicans to win downstate offices despite President Trump's losing Pennsylvania. Are you kidding me? You put that in writing and that's your logic? Let's do the scales of justice, You gave 3 state reps and the president lost the state. So who did you pass that for? You didn't pass it for us. And those senators that are running, they have disqualified themselves. They not only shouldn't be governor, they shouldn't be re-elected to the Senate or any other position. I'll get that to Tom. The finest president in my lifetime lost Pennsylvania. And I think you can make a very strong argument for that. And again, there are 3 individuals that have their fingerprints all over that. And it was a betrayal, as far as I'm concerned. And I argued with those state reps, why was the inactive voter roll not clean before you went to mail-in ballots? There were 800,000 inactive voters, and Trump lost the 680,000 votes to leave overnight. How do you think that happened? That's where it came from. And if you notice, like last night in the debate, I was the only one to mention President Trump. I mentioned it twice and praised him. A year ago today, you had where you walked into a trap in D.C. is what took place. But there was one Patriot shot. We probably forgot about the Bobbins, right? Leslie was the first one. Everybody, yeah. So, the only one that was killed, right? The only violence was on the Patriots that showed up. I didn't know that. And I didn't know because I felt I was walking into a trap. The Democrats, make no mistake, the Democrats subcontracted Antifa and BLM to do their violence and to do anything possible to bring down the Democrats. And that's exactly what happened. So who was John Bentley, right? I wrote the first book in America on COVID, okay, called The Wuhan Conspiracy, March 15th, 2 days after we shut the country down. 8 days later, Amazon took it down because of the title, because President Trump was saying the Wuhan virus. So he took my book down. It stayed down for 6 months until right before the election. I already mentioned, Facebook completely shadow bans my campaign. I can't get my message out. I put my dog on Facebook, I get 300 likes. I put the best video you will see for a campaign video besides President Trump's 2016 New World Order talk, if you remember that. I put out the best video you're ever going to see besides his. And I can't get more than 10 people to see it. I agree with that. I have to start joining everything else. But it's in my newsletter. If you don't get, I heard about that one too. If you don't get my newsletter, I got about 30 addresses today. Bill McCain says a sign-up sheet. You can get to me on Facebook or through Tom. You really want to get my newsletter, Never Socialist. I put it out once a week. That's why I seem to be banned from everything, because I use words that they don't approve. All right. So who am I really after I just ranted? John Bencher, who I am. I am a retired executive from United Parcel Service. 35-year career. The last 26 years, I was a high-level executive. You know, I've been to Allentown a lot of times. I had Pennsylvania, West Virginia, Virginia. I had security. I had public affairs where my group would meet with 22 federal congressmen and senators. I had the crisis management team. I am trained to act on my feet and make decisions now, not what next week. When that 3 a.m. phone call comes in, I got it, and we take care of it. So, and I said last night, I'm the only candidate on the stage that has executive experience. I have 26 years of executive experience, 3 states, high level, and the governor is the chief executive of the state, right? So don't you want an executive for an executive position? It makes common sense to me, and I'm the only one on that stage with that level of executive experience. I was at every airport in the 3 states. Avoca, you know, the Allentown Airport, all of those airports, I had those airports. I had so many hats. Managing DC committee governing is the easiest thing I can probably do. I can do that without doubt. I published a weekly Never Socialist newsletter. I also then put a website out there to recruit Asians and Hispanics to the Republican Party, called neversocialistusa.org. If you're Asian or Hispanic, and you know any groups, I need to get to you because I need support. They will not cover me, and you can see why. You know, so I'm the only candidate that's reaching out to Asians and Hispanics and I recruit them to the Republican Party. I served on if you look at my card that I put out there, I can give you more, there's plenty of them. You know, the resume is what you would expect from an executive. Plenty of boards and charities that I belong to, Rotary Club President, United Way, Juvenile Diabetes, the Economic Growth Connection, Chamber of Commerce, elected committee member. I was also a part-time actor author. I spent 4 years on the History and Discovery channels. I wrote 10 books. And to me, that shows my creativity. I'm hugely creative. That's not a trait that you get from politicians. You really don't. My mind is, when I see an issue, I'm all the way out there thinking more and more steps as to how do we get to this. It's almost like I heard that Trump, you know, he plays 4-dimensional chess. And that's the way my mind works. I'm already out there by 5, 6 steps. And it shows my creativity. You know, pro-God, pro-gun, pro-life, pro-constitution, pro-freedom, and then I added to the card, it has the new version, pro-militia. Because one of the candidates disrespected the patriot groups in Pittsburgh, Lawrence, and Butler, and the militia out there. And I came to their rescue, and they're behind me right now. So on my plan, which I'm going to get to, you're going to have to go to my website. There's like 25 talking points here, 30 on my website. I can't get to them all. But the major thing for me to jumpstart this state and make it the Texas of the Northeast is we need a business tax cut. This is one of the worst states to do business in. We're the 15th highest state in taxes. We just took over number 48 in population growth, number 42 in business growth. You know about the tolls and the gas tax. So the way you jumpstart the state is you have a massive business tax cut. Then those jobs come in from the Northeast. I want to hear a sucking sound out of the Northeast as businesses move here, and then people move here, and then everything else will follow. We'll take a look at regulations, licensing. Why do you register your car every year, every other year? You can register it one time. Then we get rid of those employees that process that. We're going to get rid of gerrymandering. I want to cut the state reps down to 67, one per county, and for the senators, I'd like to follow the congressional map of 17. That's all we really need. There are so many things on my card, and there are social issues. Youth schools, I'm out of time. You can, use the school tax to go to any school. Watch my video. It explains everything in 19 minutes, which I've already used. and thank you. Go to voteformentary.com and never go to the school and say that all. And I need help. I need help to get on the ballot. Thank you.
I have to say that it's such lovely work for those people who step up to run for these offices. They go after them, and the worst thing of all is that the people that go after these people the most are not the Democrats. It's our own Republican establishment, and they do such shady things. So God bless you for coming out tonight, and then also, God, Guy Shiraki, we're going to hear from him now. I want to encourage you to vote for all the candidates coming tonight out there and keep your way in.
As somebody who grew up in South Philly, I thought I would have gotten the Rocky music, but So thank you for having me. Thank you for all you do. Thank you for your involvement and commitment. I went to my first CPAC meeting down in Washington back in 1986. I wrote my first column about school choice in 1992. So as I watched what unfolded the last 2 years across our state, in school boards and in Harrisburg, it shook me. But not because I suddenly realized that liberty, the Constitution, and democracy were important. Not something I discovered a year ago. It's something I've known since I was old enough to go to school and learn about those things. It's something that is rocked me to my very core. I did a radio interview this morning, and one of the things I said on the radio was that if you don't feel what happened to all of us the last 2 years here in Pennsylvania, if you can't feel it in your very bones, you have no business running for office. Because the most important thing we need to talk about, no matter what office you're running for, is it's time we get our liberty back and we change the law so that no governor of any party, no government of any party can ever do to us what Tom Wolf and the Democratic Party did to us in 2020. When I first got involved, we used to talk about the fears of big government. Big government could tell you what you do, could control our lives. And that was sort of political rhetoric. I mean, Ronald Reagan used to tell us about the Soviet Union. They were the bad guys. We used to talk about things like, you don't want government where government picks winners and losers. And again, we sort of said that, but we mouthed the words. And then 2020 came, and 2021. And we learned what all-powerful government looks like. It not simply told you about tax rates, it told you whether you could go to work or not. It picked winners and losers. You could go to work, but you can't. Your kids can go to school, but you can't. Don't talk to your next-door neighbor. Okay, you can talk to your next-door neighbor, but don't visit your grandparents. Literally, we listened to the governor of Pennsylvania tell us whether we could talk to our neighbors or visit our grandparents. Government of a size and scope and power that we never envisioned in our wildest dreams. As I wrote a year ago in Broad and Liberty, we went to bed in the United States and woke up in the Soviet Union. Literally. Government picked winners and losers. Government told us what we could do. So we fought back. I'm sure everybody in this room was part of the effort. We fought back on Vote Yes, so that never again could that happen. We had to change the Constitution. Why? Because when the legislature tried to help us, the governor ignored them. And when they pushed back, he vetoed. And then we ran to the courts, not once, not twice, but 14 times. And the courts told us that Tom Wolf had absolute authority. So when they told us our own Constitution didn't represent a democratic republic, that it was a monarchy, we had to change the Constitution. So together we got Vote Yes passed, so that, Lord willing, our grandchildren will never live through what we had to live through the last 2 years. But that's not enough. Because as I shared with many of you as I walked around, or if you watched the debate last night, what I'll tell you is this. It's not simply enough to push back against them on what they did. We need to make sure it never happens again. But it goes further. We need to help all the people that were harmed by the last 2 years. And who was harmed? Not Wall Street, not Amazon. Who was harmed? Our small businesses, our neighborhood businesses, our parents. Because while Tom Wolf was closing down our businesses and literally telling you couldn't go to work, meanwhile, at too many school boards, parents were being told their opinions didn't matter. Parents were being told, we know best whether your kids should be in school. We know best whether they should wear masks. We know best whether they should have extracurricular activities. And by the way, we know best what they should be taught. So if all of you would kindly just get out of this meeting, whether it's live or on Zoom, we can get back to our business. And then to make matters worse, the Attorney General of the United States told you, keep going to school board meetings and making noise, maybe the FBI will show up. When that happened, I put out a statement and said, when I'm governor of Pennsylvania, the FBI can never come into a school board meeting in Pennsylvania. So that's why I left my job as president of the Chester County Chamber. As I was talking to Patrick earlier, everybody needs not one of those chambers. The Chester County Chamber is a pro-capitalist, pro-democracy chamber. Capitalism. When it came to Vote Yes, we treated it as a campaign. We raised money, we ran radio ads, Facebook ads, sent out tweets and texts, bought lawn signs and t-shirts. I spoke at rallies, live and on Zoom. Why? Because I watched my businesses get crushed. I run the Chester County Chamber, one of the wealthiest counties in the state. I'm the first CEO of the Chester County Chamber that ever presided over meetings where my members cried. It wasn't in my job description. Nobody told me I would be in a meeting where people cried. And they didn't cry because they were going broke. They were crying because they felt powerless and nobody in Harrisburg listened. So that's why I decided to run. I decided to be the voice of those small businesses. I decided to be the voice of the school parents who wanted their kids back in school. So as I shared also last night, I didn't simply run to just remind you how bad it was. You didn't need me to come here tonight and tell you that. I ran here to tell you that we have a platform built on what things could be, to how good it could be. It doesn't require rocket science. We don't need smart people. We don't need Dr. Fauci. We don't need the New York Times to tell us what we need to do. We know what we need to do. When it comes to schools, we need school choice so that we have accountability. When we have bad schools, they need to be closed. No child should be forced to go to a school that's failing him or her. No child should be forced to a school where the parents don't like the curriculum. We need school choice so we have accountability. Easy enough. When it comes to getting our economy back to work, one, we get rid of one goofy mandate Tom Wolf still has in place. We get us out of Reggie and anything else that's job killing and job crushing. Next, we get the energy out of the ground. As I said last night at the debate, we're sitting on enough energy. We're sitting on enough energy to power the United States. We should never be beholden to Russia or the Middle East. We're sitting on enough energy to run this nation for the next 200 years. Let's get it out of the ground. So that's what we can do. Energy out of the ground, lower taxes, lower regulations, empower parents, change the laws so we never deal with it again. And yes, we'll fix the election laws. Simple rule. Simple rule. Easy to vote, impossible to cheat, results we can trust. No drop boxes, no mailing out ballots to dead people, right? One man, one vote. I'll die for that principle. You get one vote, and you got to be alive and a citizen. The next governor of Pennsylvania, step one is undo the mess of the last 2 years. Step two is grow our economy. So we're not dependent on the government, and they're never in charge of how much money they're going to send us. I don't want to hear about stimulus checks. We're going to earn our own checks. We're going to empower our kids, empower our parents. We're going to make this place, when I come back for re-election, we're going to be in the news, not because of the violence in Philadelphia, the problems going on. We're going to be in the news because kids are going to leave Texas and come to Pennsylvania, because this is where the economy is growing, and this is where there's the most growing choice. We can do that. We can do that. We hold Harrisburg accountable and do what they're doing in other states. We have the power to do it. We have the right to do it. We have the will to do it. Together we will do it. Thank you.
I see that Daryl arrived, and welcome, Daryl. We have a lot of real genuine heroes here tonight. Again, my heart goes out to Mary and Charlie, who I've known for so many years, for what they are standing up to do in response to what happened to their son. And again, God bless you guys, and thank you for being here tonight. And there's another hero here tonight that's going to talk to you just now. And again, the battle that we've been talking about for the last several months, where we're talking about what they're doing with the school boards, and Guy mentioned a little bit about the, making people who show up at school board meetings criminals and all that kind of stuff. Well, a lot of people, and many among you here, stood up and went to school board meetings, and you got some good people elected here in the valley. And there was a woman who was parading around the state with energy like you cannot imagine, and she did so much in that battle. And now she's decided she's going to run for lieutenant governor. So welcome today, Clarice.
Hi, I am Clarice Schillinger. We can just get it out of the way right now. I was not named after Hannibal Lecter. But I do collect little Clarice reindeers from Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. It's Rudolph's girlfriend. But, thank you for that very kind introduction. I founded Back to School PA, now a candidate for Lieutenant Governor. But a little bit about myself. I'm originally from Franklin County. So I'm a country girl. I do like to shoot guns. And I have been, well, here's the part. I've been conditioned to live in the suburbs of Philadelphia. I live in Montgomery County for the past 8 years with my husband, 2 kids, and my dog. My father served in Vietnam. He ultimately passed away. He ultimately passed away from Agent Orange. And I was a very lost teen looking for love in all the wrong places. And I found her. I was pregnant at 18 and I had Lexi at 19. There is no choice. She saved my life. So she is a thriving 15-year-old. She is in 9th grade, high schooler, and a lot of people say, well, you don't look young enough to have a 15-year-old. I believe I do. So she's thriving, and all she's ever said, she's been 5 years old, is, Mom, I'm going to the military. Whew, okay, girlfriend, you go. I'm not sure where she got that passion from for her country. I had an idea, and I didn't come from her mom. But let's fast forward a decade later. I found myself sitting at my kitchen table, so incredibly frustrated. My children were forced home for 18 months. 18 months they were at home with me. And I loved my time with them. And the teachers union would send out emails about me and say that I just needed a babysitter. I did not need a babysitter. What I saw was them dwindling. I saw it in in their eyes. You could not ignore it. My social butterfly, my little boy who is extremely smart, all he wanted to do was just go and see his buddies. That's it. That's it. And his teachers. So we have truly failed our children. The administration has. The statistics show that 80% of children do better with in-person learning. But I don't know if we look at statistics anymore or the science, right? We just don't. So over the past 2 years, one of the heaviest burdens of the relief of COVID-19 measures has been placed upon our children. Students have suffered with all-time anxiety, depression, isolation, child abuse, suicide, failure rates, crime, and while most of our elected officials have sat back and watched, not only did they sit back, but they violated our rights and our freedoms by forcing mandates on us. The most vulnerable of our communities, our children, have been ignored by the most powerful, our elected officials in the nation. That is unacceptable. So I knew I had to do something. So I started a PAC. It was called Back to School PA. It's still in existence, and it will continue on its work because our work is not finished. But what I did is I started, social media is a powerful thing, it's also a curse. But it's super powerful, and I started reaching out to moms and dads and everybody all around. And what ended up happening is I raised $700,000. I gave to 70 different school districts across the Commonwealth. I did not look at winnability because winnability did not matter. It was so critically urgent that we got out the message about what was happening in our schools. We just needed to educate the voter, and we did. Not looking at winnability, we still won 60% of our races. We held over 250 school board meetings. So that happened at my kitchen table, and I feel incredibly blessed that there, and I know that there's some parents in this room that I have worked with, but that it wasn't just me, right? I just had the idea. It was every single person. There were thousands, tens of thousands of parents that reached out to me and said, you've got to help. You have to help our kids. And we did. I'm so incredibly proud of every single advocate that stepped up and ran these school board members. Sorry, I'm not as good as God. All right, so we found the advocates and we won. And what I think is so beautiful about Back to School PA and its existence is it's totally grassroots. And I don't need to tell you all, but grassroots works. We proved it, and you all proved it every single day. It works. So why do our elected officials keep resorting to school closures? I get this answer all the time, and while I have the time, I just want to lay it out because I've dedicated 2 years to this, and I found out the answer. So special interest groups, lobbyists, and school administrators have benefited financially from school closures. Follow the money, you'll find your answer every time. They plead for more and more money to be pumped in our school systems for their agenda. They plead for smaller class sizes, which equates to more teachers, which equates to more union dues, which equates to buying elections. The solution is electing people who are not bought and paid for by special interest groups, electing regular people, the average Joe or Jane, electing parents, grandparents, taxpayers who are committed to putting our children and their education first. We must step up for these people, fundraise, and support them. So let me go back to Lexi for a second, my 15-year-old. She was at leadership camp over the summer, and they asked her, who's your superhero? And I have it, it's written. My mom, and she's 15. That's a shock. So, it said under it, why? Because my mom turns no into yes. That was her word. She's not wrong. When I called the Department of State and told them I was starting a statewide pact for local candidates, they told me no, it's never been done before. I said, well, I don't care if it's never been done before. I'm gonna do it. And we did. So, I know the children of Pennsylvania are counting on us to step up. This is why I need to further my message. I'm running for Lieutenant Governor of Pennsylvania to be a voice for everyday people, me and you. I'm an everyday person, a mom, an advocate, a wife. And it is time that we bring those everyday people to the state government. There is no question in my mind that I can fulfill the duties laid out in the PA Constitution for the Lieutenant Governor. But, as well funded as that Lieutenant Governor position is, by us, I promise you that I'll give you your money's worth. I'm fighting for education, I'm fighting for the economy, and I'm fighting for safe communities. First, education. A world-class education for every child in Pennsylvania, regardless of zip code. How do we do it? Well, first of all, we put parents back in charge of the children's education. And second, we create competition and school choice. We need more elected officials that are not beholden to the teachers union in PA. If we could get elected officials that stand up for people, maybe we could get something done. We politicians and teachers unions are a big reason that we could not have things like the elimination of school property tax. They are the reason our students are being taught critical race theory. Enough is enough. I will advocate for school choice and parents back into the classroom. Which leads me to the economy. Our economy will never fully reopen until our schools stay open. Moms cannot, dads cannot go to work when they're getting a call the night before and saying your school is closed. 33% of women have left the workforce in Pennsylvania. You're looking at them. I left my job to stay at home with my kids. I was lucky enough to do so. So we need to focus on our businesses and making sure, without question, our businesses never, ever close again. So I'm going to finish with this, and it's safe communities. I know that some of our problems that we're seeing in our communities with crime on the rise are a direct result of what is happening within our education system. Our adolescents have been stripped of their education and extracurricular activities, leaving them with zero purpose. The boredom of our youth is shows in the crime rates. Philly police are exhausted. All of our police are exhausted. I will fight for police as hard as the radical Democrats are fighting for the felons. I back the blue, support our first responders, and honor our men and women in the military every single day. Thank you so much.
I think she made some points in my head that made me think that we have to remember the Republican Party had the majority in both houses for a long time now. And at one point when Corbyn was governor, they had a governor, they had a supermajority in the Senate, and they had a majority in the House. And what did they give us? The second highest gas tax in the nation, corporate taxes that were so high, no property tax relief. They are feckless. We need to get rid of them. They need to be primary. We need to change the committees, and we need because we only do our homework now, so we get behind the right people. So God bless you guys for coming out tonight for this game. Thank you for coming. And Jake over here and his wife are such devoted members of our Tea Party, and he comes every month hours ahead of time to help us set up, and he's the one that collects the buckets, and he said, remind everyone, give the donations for the buckets. So thank you, Jake, for all you do, and please give the donations. We need to pay for the room and everything else. Our coffee sponsor tonight, the Convention of States Action, and you're back, is Jessica back there?
Yep.
Okay, good. All right. So break time, don't forget the complimentary concert. The guest tables, please go over here and talk to Daryl and Charlie, buy their books. And over here for the, Susan B. up in the group there, sign up for the volunteers, and they're actually paying people, so go up there and get in the big world with them. So we'll have a few minute break here, and we'll see you back, because we're going to hear that